You're listening to SNYA Radio, your award-winning radio station.
There we go, this is SNYA Radio and I am Matt Dowse. Joining me now is Stewart Perkins, the Detachment Commander of Long Stratton Army Cadets. Hello, how are you, sir?
I'm not too bad, thank you very much.
That's good. So, first of all, just want to sort of introduce the Army Cadets for those who perhaps haven't heard of you or don't really know a lot.
We're possibly the oldest and biggest youth organisation in the country, and for Long Stratton, we're situated right on the school grounds, right on Swan Lane, opposite the council buildings.
Okay.
You can't miss us, but many people do.
So when, first of all, do the Army Cadets meet?
We meet on a Tuesday night officially from 7:30 till 9:30 in the evening, but generally we're there from about 7. Young people like to get there early, have a bit of a sort of chat, catch up with their mates, and then at 7:30 we start through till 9:30.
Okay, and you say young people, how old do you have to be to join?
To join Cadets, you've got to be 12 years old and in year 8 of school, and all the way through to 18 3/4.
Okay, so let's talk now about the average kind of day, or the average meeting.
There is no real average day, but there's a structure to the evening. From sort of 7 till 7:30, the young people turn up, sort of catch up with their friends, and then at 7:30 we kick off with what we call first parade, and that's where everyone gets together. Your sort of NCOs run the parade, take a roll call, work out who's there, take the subs, and then tell the young people what's happening of that on that evening. We have a training program that I set up sort of each month, so they let each sort of star level, as we call them, depending on experience and age, what's going to be happening that night, whether they're going to be doing drill, mapping compass, first aid, fieldcraft, and then that normally goes on for about 40 minutes with a sort of 10 to 15 minute break, then another 40-minute lesson, bit of a tidy up, last parade where I tell them what's happening next week or in the future, and then everyone goes home.
Okay, so for somebody who just heard this, is now interested in joining, what are some of those sort of activities? Can you give some examples? There's
the usual, as we're a military organisation, we wear green, so there's all the drill and turnout that people would expect from Army Cadets. Military knowledge, whether we teach people about the rank structure in the Army, sort of Lance Corporal through to sort of officer ranks. Then we start doing mapping compass. At a very basic level, we'll teach you this piece of paper is a map and this piece of plastic is a compass. When you first join, right through to grid references, back bearings. If we drop you somewhere in the country, give you a map and a compass, you should be able to work out where you are. But that's sort of 17, 18-year-old. It's quite advanced. We do skill at arms and shooting, which is something that concerns some parents, giving young people sort of access to weapons. But every adult that teaches it has to be qualified. You can't get hold of a weapon until you've done what we call weapons handling test, and it can take 8 to 10 weeks to train somebody. So until you've been proved that you're competent with a weapon, you don't get to shoot, and we start with an air rifle before we then move on to sort of bigger weapons. So again, it's a progression from sort of 12 through to 18. There are plenty of fieldcraft activities, which is what a lot of young people join. Instead of sort of running around their back garden sort of with sticks pretending they're sort of playing war games, they join Cadets and we let them loose in a big field with various bits of kit, and then sort of camp out overnight, eat army rations, and there's normally a small group of senior cadets or adults who play the enemy that we sort of attack. So it's it's a good sort of fun way of sort of getting rid of a lot of energy over a weekend. We do plenty of PT. You can if you pick a sport somewhere in the Army Cadets, you can do it at what we call squadron level, which will just encompass this part of Norfolk. Regional, which will be the whole of East Anglia. And if you're good at a sport, you can represent sort of the country. You can do national, and you get badges for them. So if you're good at football, for example, you may play for the squadron team, you may play for the regional team, you may play for the national team, and you name a sport, somewhere in Cadets we do it. And on top of all that sort of structure, we aim to have some fun along the way.
You've mentioned the sort of ranks that people go through, start at 12 and then go on and go on. Can you talk us through sort of how people rank up and what each ranks mean? And
I mean,
that sort of stuff?
Adults and cadets, we use obviously the army rank structure, and it shows what you've achieved within cadets. If you're an adult, When you first join, because you have no qualifications, you have this red sort of stripe across your chest on your rank slide, which means you're a potential instructor. So everyone knows that, yes, you're an adult, but you have to be supervised by another adult because as yet you have no qualifications. And that progresses through sergeant, staff sergeant upwards. And each rank means that you can do certain things. As a sergeant, now you're qualified to teach up to what we call 1-star level, and it goes on like that. For a cadet, if you look at their brassard, which will have their rank stripes on and other badges, if someone is a lance corporal, which is 1 stripe, it means they must at least be 14 years old. They must have done at least 1 camp, and they must have achieved what we call 1-star level, which is the 8 core subjects achieving a certain level within that. They may be a lot older, they may not have joined cadets till older, but 1 stripe, they must be 14, they must have done 1 camp, they must have achieved their 1-star. Corporal is 2 stripes, so going on is 2 camps, 2-star. A sergeant, 3 camps, 3-star, and upwards. So you can join cadets and do very little. You can come on a Tuesday night, not every Tuesday night, have fun, be with your mates, and get a lot out of it. If you put in that bit of extra commitment, most Tuesday nights, go and do the weekends that we offer, come on annual camp, you can actually leave cadets with quite a sort of list of qualifications, including BTECs, including Duke of Edinburgh awards. And it's something that when you leave at a later date, you may not be thinking of it when you're 12, 13 years of age, but when you need to go out, look at a college place, university, or employment, and they say, what have you done? And there's other people sitting in that room who have got very similar qualifications. If you say, but I've done this, I'm a qualified first aider, I've done leadership courses, I've done this, it sets your CV out, and all you've done is you've gained that, hopefully at the same time, is why giving very little commitment, but having fun at the same time.
And you mentioned sort of camps and things like that. How often do these camps happen?
Camp is the pinnacle of the training year. We spend from the camp is in the summer, and once camp is over, we're then looking at Remembrance Day. After that is Christmas, and then from then onwards, for the sort of January through till about sort of June, July, we're looking at the annual camp, getting people ready, so they've achieved a particular star level, so they can go to camp and look at getting their next one. And that normally happens the end of July, beginning of August. It's in the 6-week school holiday, but at the same time as we're going on camp, 1,200 other sort of detachments and units are going on there. So during the 6-week holiday is when we'll go away. It used to be for 2 weeks. It's been slimmed down a bit now through sort of cutbacks, but it's about 10 to 11 days. And in that time, we'll do a shooting package, a fieldcraft package, and a military training. So you'll do some classroom-based activities. You'll go out with a group of sort of similar level cadets and spend 2 days, maybe 3 days out in the field, eating rations, getting absolutely filthy, running around, attacking other groups, being attacked, and putting all the skills you've learnt into practice. Then there's a classroom phase where you'll be doing mapping compass, heightening your skills, and then if you're doing mapping compass, for example, during the day you'll go out and actually put those skills into practice by doing a route of, depending on your level, anything from a mile up to maybe 10 miles, and then if you're doing 2 or 3 star, you'll be out in the evening. It's one thing reading a map in the daytime when you can see the map. It's another thing having a compass, a map, and being out at night. And this is all being supervised by the adults. So while there are possibly 400 some cadets somewhere in the country at a camp having lots of fun, there's a lot of adults who have given up their time. This is supposed to be their holiday time, so they're not at work, but they're probably working harder than if they actually were at work, sort of supervising. Both adults and cadets come back from camp completely exhausted. The bonus for a parent out there is that's nearly 2 weeks where your son or daughter is away. They come back completely exhausted, so you've probably got another 2 or 3 days where they're sleeping. So that's the best part of 2 weeks of a 6-week holiday, where your son or daughter is occupied and having fun.
You also mentioned parades, like Remembrance Parade. Is there a lot of other sort of?
You're supposed to, as a unit, so for us in Long Stratton, is do things with your local community. Remembrance Parade is something that every detachment, no matter where they are, will try and link up with their local British Legion and take part in on Remembrance Day. it is the sort of biggest time of the year for remembering the fallen from wars that have happened before. And as we're wearing the uniform that those people would have been wearing at the time, it's something we really focus on. But the rest of the year we do things like backpacking in supermarkets, depending on where your detachment is. If you're in Dis, for example, you've got 2-3 supermarkets here. If you're in Long Stratton, we've got quite a small one. So you try and do things like that. So you raise funds not only for your detachment, for local charities or for national charities. You try and get cadets used to sort of doing something for other people, and through that they get their Cadet in the Community Award. Again, as a basic sort of new recruit, just taking part in an activity like that will get you the tick in the box. At sort of 3-star level, you've got to be planning an activity, you've got to be leading it, getting the cadets involved in something. So throughout your time you'll be either involved or running something, and the thing is to try and find an activity that people haven't done before. So you're doing something different, trying to find something locally that maybe is forgotten about, sort of a local old people's home or sort of a children's home or something, and try and link up and do something for them. It makes young people go out there and try and find things to actually raise money for that maybe they didn't know about themselves.
Do you find that a lot of people sort of following being part of Army Cadets go on to join the regular army, or is it a kind of...
Depends where you are. If you're in sort of in a city detachment, then you probably have a lot more people using the army as a means of seeking employment after school. In rural detachments, it's not as many. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've ran Long Stratton detachment before, and I've ran Dis detachment, and we've probably had no more than 5 or 6 young people join the army. Most people use cadets as a way of doing something that they can do with their friends, doing things that their friends can't imagine doing. Most of my cadets turn up to school after a weekend on a Monday morning and will be telling their friends they've been running around a field, painting their face with cam cream, and firing blanks at a pretend enemy in woods, and staying up till late and eating rations out of ration boxes and all these sort of things, where their friends have probably been saying, well, I've been playing Modern Warfare 3 on the PS2 or the PS3 or something, sitting on the sofa eating Pringles. There's a difference between that and the getting out. So my cadets go back on a Monday morning to school telling some sort of stories about things they've done that some of their friends can't imagine.
Okay, so finally, if people want to get involved, how do they contact you, or how do they sort of get involved, and how much is it to be a member?
When you first join, we give you a month, 2 months to decide whether you actually like it. There's no point going through the whole process and you decide 2 months down the line you actually don't want to cut your hair a bit shorter than it is. You don't want someone like me maybe shouting at you occasionally, and Army Cadets isn't the thing for you. But if you come on a Tuesday night, you're there for 6 to 8 weeks, and you think, I actually quite enjoy this and want to take it further, then there's a £20 joining fee which covers you getting your uniform. There's a few forms to fill in. We're probably going to give you in excess of £150 worth of uniform. The only thing as a cadet you have to buy yourself are your boots. And that's simply, as a young person, your feet are growing so quickly, we can't keep up with that. And at any point, uniform gets worn or you grow out of it, you hand us back the item, we replace it with a new item. And that goes for anything we do on a weekend, any fieldcraft activity. You haven't got to go out and buy the most expensive sleeping bag or webbing or any bit of kit. We will give you the kit to last you a weekend, and then you hand it back in at the end. Once you've got your kit, it's £1 a week. That pound goes towards detachment funds, the posters on the wall, and some of the things we do, and it offsets the tuck we buy for the little shop we run. It all goes back in. So cadets is very cheap, £20 initial outlay, £1 a week once you've got your uniform. A weekend will cost you £10, and that's from Friday night through till Sunday. That means that whatever activity you're doing, you're getting 3 meals a day, cost you £10. And an annual camp, the last 2 years, has been around £70. But that's 10 days away. That's adventurous activities, which can be rock climbing, canoeing, abseiling, caving, through to the military stuff that we do, being out in the field of an evening. Again, it's 3 meals a day, roof over your head. I would argue that anyone go out and try and find what we do through a 10-day camp for £70. And it's exactly the same for things like Duke of Edinburgh and BTEC. To do your Duke of Edinburgh, you've got to do obviously X amount of expeditions. It's a £10 weekend fee, no matter what you're doing. You go to your school, ask them how much it's going to cost you to do a bronze DOV, how much your planning expedition is going to cost you. For us, you pay your £10, you go on the weekend, all you've got to provide is your own food. So what I say to people is, don't think of Army Cadets as some big guy like myself who's going to be screaming and shouting at you. That does happen. But look at what we offer for the amount of money it will cost you, and look at what you can get out of it. At 12 and 13, you should be looking at getting, a lot of fun out of it. Joining and just being with your friends, going to do things that you have no idea that are out there on offer. When you're looking at being 14, 15, you're looking at the future a bit and taking what we can offer for that kind of outlay to plan your future, really. You go and show someone you've got a silver or a gold Duke of Edinburgh award and slap that on your CV. There's not many people out there of your age that are going to have those. So use us, have lots of fun, but think of the future, and what we offer is very good.
And of course, if people are going to join, do they sort of turn up on Tuesday night, or do they
turn up on any Tuesday night? There'll be somebody there who will show you around, tell you roughly what we do, basically give you an instant buddy. They'll pick a sort of seniors cadet, unless you know someone there, and we'll pair you up with them. And then you'll go around for the night, ask them any questions they can't answer, like go to one of the adults. At the end of the night, we'll say, did you enjoy yourself? If yes, here's a form to take home. Your parents just have to sign it, and it's just got some basic details on. After that, you then do about another sort of, say, 6 to 8 weeks, and if you're still there and still enjoying it, then you start getting issued your uniform, and after that, the world's your oyster. I mean, in the last 4 years, I've sent cadets to South Africa, Canada, on skiing trips to France, and except for an initial outlay of about £100, they've gone to Canada for 6 weeks, and it hasn't cost them a penny.
Blimey.
It's there. Not everyone can do it. To go to Canada, you've got to be selected. You've got to be a fairly exceptional cadet, but it's not impossible. Going to South Africa, which we do every 2 years, is again, there's a small number of cadets go, but it isn't impossible. Say, considering there are 8 detachments in sort of this area of Norfolk, 28 detachments in the whole of Norfolk. I've been at 2 detachments where now I've sent 2 cadets to Canada. One of them from Long Stratton, who's actually been twice. He went 2 years ago, and then was selected as the best cadet in Canada. And then got asked to go back as an instructor the following year. That happens to one person out of 32. There's a young man in Long Stratton, you may know him, called Will Allen. 2 trips to Canada, hasn't cost him a penny.
There we go. So thanks for joining us. Don't forget, 7:30 on Tuesday nights at the Centre on Swan Lane.
It is indeed.
Thank you.